Still waiting. Doing obviously my favorite vampire from Buffy. Anybody else? Welcome on up to the stage, James Marsters.
Hey, before we start, what I like to do when I'm signing autographs is anyone that is dressed as any character from any show that I did, I like to just film them and then put it out on Facebook. But I like to get them a round of applause for their effort, and that's where you come in. Yay. This is Hollywood for action, and when I go like that, just raise your arms and scream as loud as you can. And hello, Spike. Freaking great. What I like to say before I do the top acts is you guys can ask me anything that you want. Try to embarrass me. It cannot be done. I swear I'm shameless. People have tried. It hasn't worked, so bring it. I don't necessarily promise to answer anything that you think of, but you can try. This is so cool. Give me the guitar. But you have to be brave and come to that center mic. And I'm not going to say anything until you do. Yes! Yes!
Hello, Mr. Marsters.
Hello, beautiful.
Welcome to Michigan.
Thank you. I'm having a good time. You guys invented unions, by the way. Thank you.
So, my question involves Torchwood.
Yeah.
And that first scene with John. So I've heard John's take on it.
Oh, yeah? Oh, God. Tell me about John's take.
And all of the takes that it took, and how much he enjoyed it. He enjoyed attempting to embarrass you. Let's hear your side of the story.
Yeah, you know, I never knew that women enjoyed watching guys kiss. I knew that we liked to watch girls kiss. I had no idea what the other way. And my fiance was on the set, and she was enjoying herself. And I got more sugar that day than I did. It's awesome, you know, and now we're married. Like, we've been married for 7-8 years now. And sometimes I think I should have John over. Get things going again. But yeah, I remember I bit John on the first take. And he was kind of like, he just bit me there. I was like, I haven't seen you in 300 years. Come in, baby. But yeah, that was one of the most fun days I have had in acting. Because there was a great dialogue scene, and followed by a wonderful kiss, and then a fight scene, which is my favorite.
The fight scene was fantastic.
Yeah, and John and I come from stage where you don't get a stuntman in stage. So stage actors, like, we see somebody in our costume, we're like, why are you here? And so John and I were like, let's see how few shots we can get the stuntmen in today. Like, we would like them to do as little as possible, and I think they did 2 shots in the whole sequence. So that was, like, we were just like. So what did John, just John really enjoyed kissing me. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also learned something, and this is good for all guys. If you want to kiss another human being, shave. All the women are laughing, yeah.
Pretty much.
It's really not good.
I really appreciate either shave or let it grow a little longer. So
Yeah, it's like sandpaper. It's horrible. Yeah.
Well, thank you so
You're welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
Hello, sir.
Hello. By the way, who reads sign language? Okay, Tell me if she's actually saying what I'm saying. Just want to make sure. Just kidding. Okay, what's up?
We all know everything on the internet is true.
Yes.
I heard a statement that you once made that you picture Spike out there in the Firefly universe somewhere, sitting at a bar, saying, "It never changes." True or not?
It never changes. Yeah, that was actually Joss's idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could take any of the characters that you have portrayed and put it in any show out there, anything, it doesn't have to be Joss adjacent, what would you do? Where would you put one of your characters in what universe?
Wow. I would put Macbeth on Buffy. Yeah. And no one would understand a word he was saying. You would be like in verse, and Buffy would be like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Whatever. They'd lock him
Don't
up.
speak iambic pentameter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Giles would fall in love with him. Even though, oh, someone from my home country wants to. David.
Hi. All right, stemming kind of off the
Very
first
well.
question. She kind of stole it from me. It was more along the lines, you've been with Joe Barman and Sarah Michelle Gellar, so who's the better kisser?
Do you want the answer that you want, or do you want the truth? Okay. The truth is, I have no idea. The truth is that doing a kissing scene is by its nature a glamour kind of shot, and the word glamour means illusion. So anything that's glamorous is a lie, and the more glamorous something is, the more artificial it is, and the harder it is to create, because it's further away from the actual truth. So when you're doing something that's supposed to be glamorous, it's a very technical and rather frustrating experience. And for example, when you're doing an overshot in Hollywood, when they're filming over your shoulder and they're just seeing your ear out of focus, and you're really staring at the other person talking. Your job as an actor is not to move very much, because you'll get in their light, right? And the closer you get to the person they're filming, the easier it is to corrupt the shot by getting in their light. And so when you're actually lip to lip, it's really easy. So you're literally going in for a kiss, and I love you, Buffy, I love you, Buffy. James, just 1 millimeter to your left, please, 1 millimeter. So it's weird, you know? The other thing is that I don't really like doing love scenes on film, because when you wake up in the morning and you know you're going to get paid to do a sex act, it's like, what is your job description today? You know? Weird. And so, and I accept it's part of acting, but it's not the most comfortable, because you have like 50 crew members around who really are not impressed that you're an actor. Is he done? Is he done? All right. And so it's just strange. So I need someone, or I'd like to have someone that I can trust to get me through as a human being, to get me through what is sort of an uncomfortable day that day. And I trust both, you know, Sarah and John are wonderful people, but John and I fought. Like, we did gags that normal actors wouldn't dare to do. And I put my life into his hands a couple of times, and he was perfect. And I trust that guy. So I kiss John above anybody.
Hey, James.
Hey, man.
We're going to be shifting lanes a bit. Talk about working on P.S. I Love You with Lisa Kudrow, Hilary Swank,
Yes.
Kathy Bates.
I learned something there too, which is that the big stars, the real big stars, they're cool. Like, I find, and it kind of makes sense, like, normally the people that pull attitude and think they're oh so wonderful and I'm so above everybody, those are usually people that have been on television for like 6 months. You know, because if you want a long career, if you lose your perspective and you lose your humility, people just don't want to work with you again. So you do that job and people don't generally hear from you again. Because, I mean, I never worked. Hilary Swank was so humble, so hardworking, so kind. Jerry Butler, amazing. Like, I remember when we shot, we just had one scene together, because he's dead through the whole movie, so it's just a scene. So in a flashback, we're in a bar, and he sits down next to me, and I can't do Scottish very well, but he's like, all right, we've got 15 minutes to become best friends. I'm like, okay. And he looks at his watch and spends 7.5 minutes, precisely he used to be a lawyer, so precisely 7.5 minutes, telling me every horrible thing he ever did in his life. Stuff that only a best friend would know about. Messed up stuff. And then he goes, okay, 7.5, you'll 10. And he did it first, so I was like, okay. And I told him all the horrible things that I ever done. And in 15 minutes, we were best friends. What else? Harry Connick Jr. We were sitting in the back, we were getting driven to set, and I don't know what, we're talking about jazz, talking about blues, and he just thinks Cal Pacey is like the kid's number, but he's really cool. And I don't know why I said it, but I just said, I think that I am a mulatto. I think I've got black blood in it. Because 10% of the United States, people that think they're Caucasian, they actually are mixed. And he goes, you too? No one ever told me that before. Like, yeah! I mean, like, my parents came from Virginia. I mean, like, my lineage is from Virginia, and they mixed, a lot. So I've got curly hair, Yeah, so we bonded on that. But seriously, the coolest group of people. Oh, Kathy Bates, again, proved my thing about the bigger stars, because she's an Oscar winner. Hilary Swank, Oscar winner. Like, it goes on and on and on. And she was, I think she was like 65 at the time. She had a 105-degree temperature. And we were doing the scene where we all walk in on Hilary and she's lip syncing. So for 11.5 hours, they were over our shoulders on Hilary, getting the main stuff. And then at the very end, they turned around for the closes. And when they turned around for Kathy Bates, Academy Award winner, 65 years old, 105-degree temperature, because I would have thought they would have started with her shot, get her out, but they ended with it. And I thought she was going to have a word with the director about this. But all she did is we're about to enter the set through the door, she just turns around to the rest of the cast and goes, okay, men from the boys, guys, men from the boys, here we go. You're welcome. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for coming.
I'm having a good time.
Okay. My question is, a couple of years ago, I wrote a letter to Entertainment Weekly, and it was published. It was about you.
Why not?
And I was maybe curious, out of all the letters and photographs and articles written about you, do you have a big archive at home or a room of fame?
No.
That's my question.
Yeah. In general, my theory is that fame is toxic to the human soul. And it will tempt you to think that you're special, and it'll tempt you to separate yourself from the population. And the end of that road is just loneliness, basically. So during Buffy, I hid from the world because I just didn't want to be famous. I just didn't want to admit that was happening. And I surrounded myself with people, and I do to this day, who never saw Buffy and don't care. So I try to live a normal life. In high school, do you guys know what the Thespian Society is? Okay. It's all the drama nerds in high school. And every other year, they have a national or international convention at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. And there's like 2,000 drama nerds there. We descend on Indiana. And they cast a play around the country for that convention. And you rehearse it for 2 weeks, and you have one performance in front of like 2,000 people, and then you go home. And it was Godspell that year, and I was cast as Jesus, right? So within the confines of Ball State University I was Justin Bieber. Like people were like, well, Justin, like 7 years ago. So, like, people, like, as soon as you got outside, screaming people all around you, bodyguards, people breaking into your hotel room and stealing your stuff, ripping your clothes, all of that fame stuff was happening. And I said, okay, I'm glad this is happening now, because now I know I don't like this. This is too weird for me. So I'm going to do theater, and I'm not going to have to deal with this amount. Because in theater, people will stop you on the street and say, I saw you on Macbeth, sir. Very nice. Thank you. Go on. That's it. And so I did theater for a long time. And then I had a son and decided I was going to go try to make money. Because you need diapers and stuff. So, and then I met Joss Whedon, and so it was not part of my plan at all. I was like, no. So I was hiding from the world, but then I did a TV movie with Roger Daltrey, who is the singer for The Who, who's arguably one of the biggest rock stars ever. And he taught me how to be famous. And he was, he said that he used to be a rock star, but now he's a worm farmer. And his passion is now worms, because he's a silkworm guy. He said he had cows, but the mad cow thing wiped him out, so now he's a worm guy. And he wanted to talk about everything worms. And we'd be out in between takes, and he'd be talking about his worms, and someone invariably would come up, like, you're Roger Daltrey, can I have an autograph? And just within the rhythm of his life, talking about worms, he would turn and give the autograph very graciously, shake their hand, thank you very much, and turn back to me, continue, and he wasn't bothered by it, and it was just a normal part of his life. And he explained to me, like, James, this is not going to go away. You can either enjoy it, or you can freak out about it. You might as well just kind of get comfortable with it and learn how to deal with it, and have fun, actually. And so that's what I've been trying to do. But no, I try not to, like, embrace it, and, like, because if I like wake up in the morning and be like, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So my question is Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think about it now?
Same thing I thought about it when I saw it. It sucks. I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan. My son was 7 years old, and he saw one of the DVDs at Toys R Us and asked me, can we watch this, Dad? And it says right on the thing, 13 plus. And so I said, okay, well, let's watch it together, and we'll talk about it. And we started watching it, and it was awesome. And we kept talking about it, and it helped me raise him, actually. Because I think that the lead character in Dragon Ball is Goku. And he is like the perfect man. He is very deadly, but he's a peaceful, humble, goofy person. And if you give him his choice, he's going to be in the backyard chasing butterflies with his kids. And he does not want to fight. But if you make him fight, if you attack his family, you're toast. Period. And then you have Vegeta, who is an overgrown boy. He's literally shorter than Goku. And he is, and you see this quite a lot, too much sometimes, he is an overgrown boy in a man's body. And he is creating chaos to prove himself against. Whereas Goku has got nothing to prove, and he's a peacekeeper. And it's a very important distinction about what I think a man with the role of a man. And so it helped me raise my son. So when I got Piccolo, my son went crazy. He was like, you were wrong, And they told me it was a $120 million picture, and Stephen Chow was producing it. And Stephen Chow is a Chinese director who did Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer, which are awesome. And they're goofy, they're scary, they're romantic, they're everything that Dragon Ball would need. And I got down to Durango, Mexico, and it was a $30 million picture, and Stephen Chow was just put on paper to fool Chow Yun Fat and I down into the desert of Mexico. And it was rough, dude. It was a rough shoot. They didn't want to put the makeup on the stuntman for Piccolo. They had a really good stuntman, Danny Hernandez. but they didn't want to put the makeup on it. They just wanted to put a pullover mask, which didn't look good at all. So I didn't have a stuntman. And I was just like, you know what? Okay, fine. You know, I want to make this work. And I still have a separated clavicle from that. But I didn't want to give up. And I tried to be like the anime, which is Piccolo is either stock still and talking to you very intently, but he's not moving, or he's screaming his lungs out. It's like 1 or 10. And that's it. And so, dude, I tried. But I'm not just really quickly, and this is a dad story. So, opening night, I'm praying that it's a hit. I'm not like I'm in delusion, right? And I want it to be a hit, and because it's a 3-picture deal, and they're going to be paying me a lot more as it goes along. And the lead Goku and I had this plan that we were going to train light for the first film because I was old Piccolo and he was young Goku. But the second film, we were going to train heavy and just transform, right? And we had it all worked out. We had the trainers, we had the plan, we had everything. And so I'm walking to the theater with my 2 kids, my daughter and my son. My son is so excited, he's leading us to the theater. We walk in, and it's packed. And it smells like BO and hot dogs. Got, older brothers, younger brothers are all in there to watch it, And I'm like, this is awesome, oh my God. We the only 3 seats that were available together, we got those seats. And I'm sitting there, and something goes off in my brain, and I think, this is too good. This is too good to be true. And I turned to the 13-year-old beside me and I'm like, hey man, is this Dragon Ball? Dude goes, what? I'm like, is this Dragon Ball? He's like, no man, this is Fast and Furious. And I got up and I'm like, oh, Sullivan took us into the wrong theater, and I got my kids up and we're leaving the theater and I'm just thinking, okay, Lord, just half a house in the Dragon Ball theater, just a quarter of a house, just something. We walk in there, including the 3 of us, there's 5 people in there. It was like daddy embarrassment. Keeps it on. Hey.
Hi, thank you.
Are you a Saiyan?
What?
You have no?
No, I'm from this comic called Raptor.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
It's just, he's low Saiyan.
I was also going to ask you about making out with John Barrowman, but that was apparently a popular question today. So instead I was wondering, how much creative control did you have over the character of Spike? Like how much the accent, the wardrobe, the personality was was up to you?
Yeah.
And was there ever a moment where you were like, no, this is what Spike would do in this situation, or no, Spike would never do that?
Yeah, Buffy was a writer's show, which I think is why it's a good show, because if actors get in control, it's Alice through the looking glass, it's not good. So, I used to produce theater, and the actors don't get in control. So what was said was in control of the writers, and if we got one word wrong, we went back and fixed it. There was no improvisation, there was no actors, I'm a writer, I wrote some of the comic books and stuff, and I used to come to Joss with ideas, and he would always go, that's really good, James, that's awesome. And then there's me. So what was said was under their control. How it was said was under mine. And I remember early on, Joss told me that I was playing a soulless vampire. And I thought, the plan is to kill me off in 5 episodes. I don't want that to happen. And I said, yes, Joss. And in my mind, I was like, no way. If I play it like you want me to play it, you are going to kill me off. Because no one relates to a soulless character, So I played him as if he had a soul. Because I was tired of being poor. I did that. And I had a child, so I needed diaper money. So I played him like a soul. And I decided that as an artist, you always try to find the love in something. If you find the love, that's where the gold in the mountain is, I say. Whether that's love denied, love frustrated, wherever that is. Even a villain usually feels like he's had his love denied him in some way. And so I was like, okay, where's the love? And initially it was for Drusilla. And the idea was that Angel and Buffy are circling each other and they finally sleep together, at which point Angel goes evil and he was supposed to kill me off and take up with Drusilla, thereby breaking Buffy's heart, which was the whole point of the whole thing. And what was I saying? So on the page, it looked like Spike was making fun of Drusilla a lot because they were setting all this up to happen, and he was kind of like dissing her and stuff. And I decided to undercut that completely and just play it like, because she's on a table and she's like, I can see the stars, and I'm like, those aren't the stars, love, it's the ceiling, you're inside. And on the page, it's like, those aren't the stars, love, you're in the, you know. It kind of reads like he's dissing her, but I just decided to be completely in love with her. Yeah, and so there, I had my own effect, but it wasn't the words. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hi. You are awesome.
Thank you. What was the most favorite scene you did in Buffy?
Oh, wow. Wow. There's so many. My favorite time in the world was when they called action. God. Just a few. In general, doing fight scenes was really fun for me because you're working really long hours, and when you're active, you're not so tired. And I also love working with stunt people because they're very humble and they're very kind of childlike and they're really well trained. My favorite day with stunt people was working with Bruce Lee's cousin, who played the Chinese Slayer, Ming Lee. And she was a sweetheart who was so deadly. You know, she's like that tall, and she comes off as just a sweet, sweet girl, but it's like she trains kung fu fighters, right? And we were doing swords, and I'm a stage actor, so I know some sword work. And I was kind of messing, and I was flipping around her head. And she's just like, oh, really, James? She just goes, slap! Sticks the point of her sword slightly up my nostril. And I'm like, okay. So that was good. I enjoyed trying to light myself on fire. That was good. There was one scene where Spike falls asleep outside, and he gets woken up because he gets lit on fire in the morning by the sun. And they didn't want to give me that gag because it's a super dangerous gag because it's an unprotected burn gag. Like usually, most burn gags you're clothed, so you're actually protected by the clothing, and you have a whole suit on under the clothes so you don't get hurt. But this was skin on fire. So what you do is you dip your hand in a protective gel, and then you dip your hand in the fuel, and then they light you on fire. And I finally convinced them to let me do this gag because I was only in one episode that year, and it was the final shot of the episode, and they had no plans to have me back on the show. So like, if I roast myself, okay. And, they were really specific. They said that you have 4 seconds to get this out. So you gotta, as soon as we call action, wake up, see it, and go for the water source. There's a little waterfall, stick your hand in there, and you'll be okay. And foolish James, I decided it would be funnier if I took 8 seconds. Because you know how when you wake up and you don't know where you are or really what's happening to you sometimes? And I thought, you know, in close-up, if I'm staring at the fire and it takes me a while to figure out that I'm watching myself burning, like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, shit, oh, like that. And forgetting that they have a whole episode, that they don't have time to have me rewrite the scene. And they didn't use that extra time anyway. But I ended up burning myself real good. But I didn't tell anybody.
Can you say I love Maggie?
I love Maggie. I love it.
What is the weirdest or craziest thing a fan has ever done for you?
You know, I don't have a lot of weird fan interaction stuff. No. I only have one. In general, I find that Buffy fans tend to be intelligent and humorous and don't take themselves too seriously. It's like, if you take yourself seriously, you're going to be watching like Jag or 24 or something. You're not going to watch Buffy the Vampires thing. So it just there's a line in the sand that just a lot of people don't come into that room, you know. But this one thing happened to me early on before I was aware that you had to be careful in some instances. And I was in England at a cocktail party kind of thing, and so I'm surrounded by fans. And these two 85-year-old women come up to me, and one of them says, "My friend would like to ask you a favor." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "I've had a few." "Yeah, sure." And he says, "Could you turn around?" I'm like, "Sure, all right." Turn around. And then I hear, "Could you bend over?" Now, that is where, at this point in my life, I say, no. Boundaries, you know. But I was foolish. This is, 15 years ago. I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I bent over, and the woman just gets right up. Hard. And I hear her say, "Now clench." And I was just like, how in like the Warner Brothers cartoons when they run really fast, there's like fire behind them. Like that. Out. That's the end of the cocktail party. Goodbye, folks. Have fun. Blah, blah, blah. But that was seriously, that's the only one. Otherwise, you guys are super cool.
Fantastic stories so far.
Thanks, man.
Genuinely enjoyed you and Chow Yun Fat in Dragon Ball. I think I'm the only one on Earth.
Well, it wasn't Dragon Ball Z. That was the other tragedy.
It was Dragon Ball.
Yeah, and in the cartoon, he's a little kid fighting midgets the whole time. So I mean, yeah. I know.
What's your favorite villain that you would love to play that you haven't been able to yet?
Wow. Iago in Othello. He's the only character, like, Shakespeare doesn't write villains. He's always like a human being sometimes make horrible mistakes and they hurt each other, period. That's about it, which I think is kind of the case. But there's this one character, Iago, who just is there to mess up Othello. And he's never explained, they ask him why he did it and he just kind of goes, and it's scary. And I still to this day, I don't understand why Shakespeare did that, but it's a great role. He's so horrible. He's really charming, and you never realize that he is manipulating everyone to destroy everyone, and that would be fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Hey, hello.
Hi. When Buffy started, I read that Joss said that the demons and the vampires represented bad things that the teenagers had to face and go through.
Yeah.
But then as Buffy went through, and especially Angel, it became demons are people too, right? And that you shouldn't discriminate against them, and they're all individuals, and you judge them individually, and then you're peaceful. Do you know how that came about and what Joss's deal was? And what do you know about that?
Well, like, Buffy really was about getting over adolescence, which is that period in life where you are old enough to realize that your teachers don't necessarily know what they're talking about, and your parents are wrong a lot, and the world is really not perfect, and you go through these years of disillusionment and cynicism, and it's really painful. And how do you get through those years without giving up on the world or on yourself? And you're right, in the beginning, it was very much that vampires are metaphors for those challenges. And that's why we were ugly when we bit someone, because Joss wanted to keep that moment from being sensual or romantic. He wanted to be horrified. Now, Angel is about a whole different thing. Angel is actually kind of about middle age in a weird way. Angel is about looking back at your youth and going, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh wow, how do I make up for that one? How do I become a better person than I used to be? And so I think, especially on Angel, it was possible to make those mythical characters more three-dimensional in that way. I really don't know. That's a really good question, because you're right. Even on Buffy, toward the end, and I remember Joss once said that writing Buffy was teaching him that even evil people are human, which I think is straining towards Shakespearean kind of perception about that. That's all I can say is that as he had to really delve into these characters, and he grew, and he started to understand that evil is actually being done by people who think they're protecting themselves. Like most bullies perceive that they're protecting themselves from the world because they got picked on. And so then I'm just protecting myself, but they end up picking on someone who then becomes a bully, and then it keeps rolling on downhill. That's about all I got.
I have a more musical question for you.
Right.
I like Ghost of the Robot, and I was wondering if you guys were going to be touring again anytime soon, and if any band was to ask you to perform with them and go on tour, what band would you pick?
Wow. Citizen Code. Yeah. Or Fantagram. Jimmy Eats World. There's so many. Weezer. I'm gonna sit down, man. I'm a lazy bastard. With respect to touring, we are a little bit hobbled. We always have been. Ghost has always been a little bit constrained. When we got together, 3 of the band members were in high school, and so we could only tour during the summer. And then they got out of high school, and 2 of them went on to college, and we could only tour during the summer. By the time they got out of college, we got a new bandmate who is in high school. And now that guy is in college, just finished up his sophomore year, so it's 2 more years. And unless he goes on for a doctorate or something, we can start touring a lot more in a couple years. But right now, it's only during summers. And so last summer we were in Rome, Barcelona, and France. And the summer before that, it was London, Paris, Berlin, Edinburgh, somewhere else. And this year we're back in the States, but we've never done a band tour. We've always flown places and played shows, and we've never just done the BO tour. And so we're going to start in Los Angeles and just hit all the clubs between LA and Seattle. So that's where we're going to be in the summertime if you want to check us out, but it's going to be West Coast. Sorry. I know, you guys actually have guitars in clubs, which is like in Los Angeles, it's all DJs. And it's oh God, it's kind of depressing. Nothing against dance music or all of that stuff, but I like guitars. And it's nice to see a culture that still strums. Yeah. Like they used to call it alt rock. They used to call it, it's alternative now, but we used to call that rock and roll. I don't know why it's got to be alt. Oh my God, I can't. I'm sorry. My poor wife told me it took her 5 years to say this. She said, "Can you stop hugging pretty girls?" She said, it didn't bother me for a while, but you get tagged on all of these pictures that come up on the internet, and they flood my inbox, and it's starting to bother me. Which, if you can imagine being with a guy who was out of town a lot and was hugging women constantly, after a while it would start to grate on you. I'll shake your hand very tenderly, though. jealous husband, so man, it wouldn't have taken me 5 years. It'd be like 2 weeks. Stop it! What's up?
Okay, so I wanted to change gears as well. Besides appreciating your talent and all of the acting stuff you do, I'm a huge fan of your ability to play Harry Dresden in the Dresden Files. Yes. I listen to those while I stitch at night and it helps me wind down for the day and things. But I want to know what your process is, because your reading of those novels is different than a lot of people who read books. When they're reading the books on tape, they actually sound like they're just looking at the page and reading the story, but you sound like you're in the story, and you're doing it differently, and I love that.
Thank you.
So what's your process for doing it differently?
Thank you. For those who don't know, I read a series of audiobooks called The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. They're all on the New York Times bestsellers before I read them, but they're also really popular on audiobooks. 12 of the top 15 audiobooks in the United States are all Harry Dresden. So, how much are they?
I actually bought an Audible subscription so I could get them for the monthly fee of like $15, but some of them go up as high as $25.
Yeah, so they're $25, but it's like 9 hours of entertainment. So if anybody drives, get a Harry Dresden and you'll be happy. Anyway, I used to drive 700 miles round trip to go visit my son, and I had a little farmhouse and we spent every other weekend together. And so I listened to a lot of audiobooks. And the fiction really kind of frustrated me because it sounded like the reader didn't really care very much. And like they would say stuff like, and then he killed his best friend, sat down and cried. Would you give a flying something anything? You know, and they would read it really slow and deliberately, and it would be the same rhythm throughout the whole book, no matter if it was an exciting part or a romantic part, it was all the same. And I always promised myself, like, if I ever get one of those jobs, I'm going to bring it. And I started doing the first book, and I realized very quickly the reason that they do that is because if you go fast and you're caring, you make more mistakes. And like if one little S is off, one little S is slightly sloppy, they'll say, "Oh, James, the S was slightly sloppy. Can you go back there? Thank you. Line 19, thank you." And so you're constantly being interrupted. And the temptation is to slow down so you don't make so many mistakes and get more careful and not try so much and not be passionate anymore. And so I'm always fighting that instinct. And I hear back from the editors, "Can you please be more careful?" And I'm like, no. Because I really think that it should be like someone is over-caffeinated and going, "Dude, you have to hear this story, check this out." As if someone's actually speaking, because we tend to speak very fast in conversation, you know, and I noticed like really good movie actors, the difference between mediocre acting and really good acting usually is how fast they're talking. The really good actors talk really fast, like I'm talking right now, but it doesn't sound like it because it sounds like normal conversation. They just know their lines really well, or they just have the proficiency to do it really fast. And I've always tried to do that. And A, I try to go fast. B, I come from stage where you get all these tools. You know, like the difference on stage between night and day is the coloring on the words that the actors are giving it. The difference between an exciting part of a play and a relaxing part of the play is the rhythm that the actors are giving it. There's all these tricks that you use, and none of them apply to film, but they apply to reading a book on tape. You know, all the accents, different characters, all of that stuff. And so stage is just hanging words in the air in the correct way, because your face is like that big, you know, and your eyes, you can't even see eyes. So it's really trying to convey the inner workings of the mind to people that can't see your eyes. And that's what audiobooks is. So it's fun to come back and just open up that old toolbox and get in there and use the same tools.
Certainly makes a difference.
Thanks. Right on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
bingo! We were like, Joss, you know what jumping the shark means, right? We have a perfectly good television show. What are you doing? Because, you know, before you do, like if you just get the script and you haven't done it yet, like everyone thinks, well, the musical is wonderful, but at the time we really thought he'd gone insane. Tony Head and I were already singing publicly for money, so we were kind of comfortable with that side of it. But the rest of the cast went to Joss and they had a really good point, which is, you hired me to be a one-camera dramatic / comedic actor. That's my wheelhouse, that's what I do. And you're asking me to do something radically different, and you're gonna flush my career. Like, why don't you just have me juggle chainsaws? I would rather juggle real chainsaws. I'd rather lose a finger than do what you're asking me to do. And then the other problem was, instead of giving us the script at first, he gave us a cassette of the songs, which were him singing the song. And Joss is not a horrible singer. He can carry a tune, but he's not, like, amazing. And they sounded super cheesy. Super cheesy. And so we had no faith in him at all. And a lot of tears were spent. A lot of people were begging Joss to be let out of it. And he would not be dissuaded. And at some point, the cast decided to stop fighting it and get to work. And all of these dancing coaches and vocal coaches started populating the set, and people stopped whining. And in the face of certain doom, we decided to go out swinging. And I was never more proud of us. He knew what he was asking of us. He knew that we were nervous about it. So he edited the first musical number that he filmed, which was the Xander dance thing. And he wheeled his little television onto the set and he showed it to us. And it was awesome. And we were like, wow, this is gonna work. And so we started really enjoying it. And by the end of it, we were thinking, we're awesome. We're doing this great. This is gonna be great. And then we got to the Hilton battle scene where the demon comes. And Hilton is a Tony Award-winning musical theater actor from New York. And he knows what he's doing. And I remember the whole cast, we're just watching him, because we're all together watching him on stage, and we're all of us going, oh, that's how you do it. Oh my God, like, we suck. And I'm so glad that Hilton came last, because I never would have had the courage to try it, because you've seen it obviously, and every motion, every fingertip, everything is perfect what he's doing. And he got it in like 2 takes. It's amazing. But yeah, like the high point of the show, obviously. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Hello.
I heard that between Buffy and Angel there was like a big difference for cost-wise. Like on Buffy you had one leather coat, and on Angel you had like a whole bunch. I heard a joke or something about that. Even by the end of the season 7, Sarah wouldn't even wear your coat anymore. She was old. There was only one coat for 7 years, and in the beginning, I would try to play gentleman, and on a cold night, I'd give her the coat. She appreciated that sometimes. And then, as the years went on, there was so much sweat in that coat, and so much fake blood and other oozing substances that had been dropped on me and cleaned off, and I would, Sarah, would you like my coat tonight? Yeah! No. But the truth is that Buffy had a lot more money than Angel. Which, they just didn't want to give you another coat.
Well, yeah, it was weird because Angel and Buffy were on different networks at that time. So when Buffy went down, that network sold the coat immediately for like $250,000. And so the coat was gone. And so they had to replicate the coat. They were so proud that they found someone to sew it exactly like the old coat, and they had to like look at photographs. And I was like, this is just 3 months. I was like, I had that coat, right? I mean, like, use the old one. But there's only one coat for Angel too.
Oh, there was only one?
Yeah, I mean, it's made of leather, so it's not, it's indestructible basically. And what I did with both coats, as soon as they gave them to me, is I started scrubbing them in the dirt and gravel. I was trying to scratch them up because I played a character who slept in alleyways.
and got in fights and stuff, so I didn't want the coat to be like pretty. I wanted it to be distressed. Yeah, the good thing though about Angel having less money than Buffy was that they only worked for 12 hours a day. So they were very short days on Angel. Usually on most television shows at 12 hours, if you go past 12 hours, you have to start paying the crew double. It's called golden time. And so most shows just do not do that. Buffy, we never worked 12. It was 14, 16 was a normal day. 18 to 20 was not abnormal at all. We were known as Buffy the Weekend Slayer. Right? We would start at 4:30 in the morning on Monday, and we would end our week at sunrise Saturday morning, about 5:30 in the morning. So there were a lot of actors and crew people that would not come to work with us because we were known all over town as they'll fry you. They'll just fry you. And then, so Angel had a normal budget, and they went 12 hours, and I was just like, this is awesome! Like, at that point, 12 hours seemed like a minimum day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey James, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Coffee is working.
Hey, I'm a Superman fan, so I want to thank you for your time on Smallville. Between the movies and the different TV incarnations and everything, most people are familiar with Lex Luthor, but the other villain that everybody's familiar with is Brainiac.
Yeah.
And it took you to finally bring in a lot of action. You're doing a great job, so thank you.
Thank you, man. I really think that Smallville was a really smart show. Al Goff, who thought the whole thing up, and who is actually doing a really good show now on AMC called Badlands.
Into the Badlands.
Yeah, check that out. It's a fight show. It's really good. He took me out to dinner because he wanted me to come on the show. And I sat down and I was like, okay, I got to be honest, Al, I'm a Batman guy. Because like when Batman goes to work, you don't know if he's coming home, right? If you shoot him, he's dead. And that's exciting, right? So Superman goes to work, you're like, he's going to come home on time. Like he's invulnerable. Unless you pull out kryptonite. And if you're doing a movie for Superman, you can pull out kryptonite and it's fine. But as a TV show, if you pull it out every episode, 22 a year, it's going to be repetitive and it's going to be ridiculous. So how are you going to do this, man? And he's like, oh, don't worry, man. Superman is a teenager, and so he's going to be vulnerable every day. He's going to be vulnerable to everything that a teenager is vulnerable to, which is like the world, his parents, his girlfriend, his grades, his self-identity, all of that stuff. And we don't need kryptonite. We'll have it sometimes, but not all the time. And I just stared at Al, and I was like, you have fixed it. That's genius. And I got excited. And yeah, I think that's one of the many reasons that show went on so long, is because the premise was so strong. Yeah.
Hi, James.
Hello.
I never thought I'd be standing here being able to talk to you, so this is just beyond unbelievable.
I'm 3D.
I was wanting to know, how long did it take with like your theater background for you to perfect the British accent that Spike used?
A little while, and in the beginning it's not so great. They cast me 3 days before filming, which is not normal. They've been looking for a Spike for a long time, and they didn't find anyone that they wanted to cast. And so at some point, Joss told the casting director, just scrape the bottom of the barrel. I need to see everybody. And they started calling on people that didn't have a lot of credits. And they found me at the bottom. And, so, like, I watched a lot of Monty Python as a kid. How many Monty Python fans? Did you guys know that the director of all the Monty Python movies is here this weekend?
Yes.
Holy, I shook his hand. So he's also one of the actors in Monty Python. You'll recognize him. He's totally cool. Anyway, so I had I also come from theater where you do accents. So I had a passable lower class British accent in my pocket, and I pulled it out. But it wasn't really that great. Like my first line of Buffy is, "You were there," right? And if I'd have done it right, it'd been, "You were there." But I said, "You were there," like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. And Tony Head was patient for a while, but when I said bullocks, he lost me. He just comes up to me and goes, "We don't say it like that, you brat. You've got to do it right. I'm going home to England, and I've got to, hold my head up, so I'm going to help you now." And we sat down for about 6 months. We'd sit down with the scripts as they came in and go line by line until he was satisfied. And after about 6 months, I had it really good. And then a few years later, I went to England for the first time. I went to London and spoke with people from that area and got the rhythm of it. So because accents are as much about the rhythm as they are about the sounds. And I think at that point, it really kind of cemented into something that was, passable.
Yeah, watching the show, I would have never have guessed that you were American.
Right on.
Totally. So,
Yeah, I never stopped trying to make it better. I was always trying to get that. Yeah.
Could I get a bloody hell from you, please?
No, I don't do that anymore. I've moved on with my life. Good Lord.
Thank you, and I just want to say, real vampires do not sparkle.
True, I've missed you. You'll come by my table so I can put you on Facebook, right?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
With my spike.
Of course. I love Spike. Did you do the hair and everything? Good Lord. That's amazing. Amazing.
So, as you can see, I'm a big Drusilla fan.
Yeah.
Buffy is Spike right now. I like it, but what are some of your favorite Druid Spike scenes?
Wow.
They're
Oh,
just,
man.
they're either really messed up or they're just the sweetest thing in the world, and I'm like, I have to know more.
Yeah, wow. God, all of them. God, I can't pick one. I can just say that I was only cast on Buffy because Juliet liked me. Like, I was her boy toy. The whole thing was predicated on how does this actor meld with Juliet. And we just both come from theater, and we both kind of just got along great right in the beginning. The thing when we like have our foreheads together and we turn to the camera like that was in the audition. We just did that off the cuff. At which point David Greenwell, he just interrupted the audition. He goes, "I love these two." But it was because we just instinctually had a comfort around each other that we could go there in the audition. I remember I would always tell her, because she's a stage actor, and she's never satisfied. She's a fearless artist. She's never satisfied, which is also the mark of a good artist. And she was always, like, after every scene, she'd be like, "Oh, I could have done that better." And I would always be like, "Juliet, it's done, we got to move on, like it's done, like we can't go back, it's not theater, it's not tomorrow night." And then I remember, we were supposed to be punk rock vampires, and we're supposed to be dangerous and weird and scary and unsettling, and we decided to try to intimate like something hinky was going on just below frame. Like, what are these two doing with their hands to each other? And we never actually did any of that, but we were trying. If you go back and watch some of those shots, it actually looks like what are they doing? Yeah, I can't pick one, my God. So, all of them. I felt like there was a part of Spike that wasn't on film unless Juliet was on the set, which was the original punk rock, really dirty, gritty part of Spike that showed up when she was around. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello.
I'm going to take it back a little bit too, change it up. I know you were with Anthony Head so long on Buffy. What was it like to work with him again on Warehouse 13 and in a role reversal with him being the bad guy and you kind of sort of good?
Yeah, I was unsettled by how good he was as the bad guy. Wow. It was fabulous, Tony Head is one of the nicest people in the world, A. And B, he kind of taught me about film acting to begin with. Because I came to Los Angeles from stage and my nose was in the air. I'd had a lot of success on stage. And I was just kind of like, I'm here to make money, but I'm staying. Like in my audition, I decided I was going to freak out all my competition for Spike, because I just got off of a Macbeth in Seattle, and I was just in the corner quoting Shakespeare. Because it was a really good Macbeth, like it got great reviews, we extended, it was like, it was a tight Macbeth. And I was just doing Macbeth, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace. And I was going on and on and on with all these, thinking that the other actors would be like, oh no, he's a really good actor. Well, I was in Los Angeles, and all they ever think was that guy is psychotic. And I remember watching my early performance on Buffy and realizing that I was a little bit over the top, and that the other actors were much more real, and they were kind of better, actually. And I just thought, okay, I've got to go to school. And then I shot a scene with Tony, and the first scene I did, he's like doing nothing. He's like, okay, like that. And I'm like, old man, would you wake up? I'll get you the cup of coffee, but let's go. I'm gonna steal this from you. Forget it, I'm stealing the scene. And I thought I was, and I saw the scene, and he cleaned the floor with me. And at that point I thought, you've got a lot to learn, James. And I just decided to study Tony. Like, take me to school, brother. And I would come to set when I wasn't working, sit on a box and just watch him work. I don't even know if he knew I was there. But just studying film acting from him. And that's how I learned how to do it. So yeah, I just went back to school. You're welcome. Hello.
You were just talking about Anthony Serpent, but did you have a favorite person to work with on the set of Buffy?
Wow, so many. Definitely Anthony. Amber Benson, big time. Yeah. We didn't have so much to do on Buffy, but she directed a film, which she also wrote and produced and starred in. Big ego. No, just kidding. Just wonderful. And she was absolutely fabulous, and it's one of my favorite performances, actually. It's a small independent film called Chance, but I just love that. I love that movie. God, all of them. We all knew that we were doing something amazing, and I really liked working with Clem. Right? James was fabulous. That was the thing, though. It's like Joss is really good at hiring nice people, and he's aware that a creative environment is like designing a preschool, right? Because artists are usually broken people who have found a way to be whole through the very safe environment of art. And so to design a creative environment, you have to design a place that would be safe for a small child. And if you do that, then the little inner child of the artist can come out and play. But if it's a harsh environment, then it's a lot harder to get creative. And Joss understands this, so he made a great play school. No one was peeing in the pool, and it was all good. So yeah, it's hard to have a favorite. Man. Get right up to that mic like a rock star. There you go.
It makes sense why he kind of reuses his actors and different things he does. Like he has found the actors that he knows will be good for that environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Michigan.
Hello, I'm having a great time.
Awesome. I noticed on Buffy, when you first debuted as Spike, you had kind of an edge to the character, ferociousness. Yeah. And then as the character went on, it took kind of a comedic approach. And then near the end, it went back to that edge. Which version of Spike do you kind of prefer running?
Good question. Evil. Because for so many reasons, like I try to be a nice guy, and you guys all seem nice, And so you'll understand when I say being a nice person means you don't show the world the other side. And it's an act of will, and it takes maturity, and it takes energy. And when you play a villain, you get to just barf all that out, you know, and it's just delicious. You get away with it, and it's great. It's also, in Hollywood, the culture of Hollywood is that you have to treat the lead as if they're royalty. It's just, you have to. It doesn't matter if the lead is nice or not nice. And both David and Sarah are very nice. But everyone's going, oh, Sarah, have a cup of coffee, ma'am. Would you like my seat, Sarah? Oh, over here, I'll take your hand, all this stuff. Oh, David, good morning, sir. But I got to play a character that, once you call action, you're my breakfast, baby. And I am actually trying to make you mess up your lines. Because I'm a subversive. I had a theater company which was a subversive theater company, which is to say that we were trying to divorce the audience from the lies that you get taught in childhood, like violence works, or old people are boring, or you can buy yourself identity, all of these things. And also, powerful people should be powerful. or people are unequal, is the lie, right? And important people are better than we are. It's a lie. So, what was frustrating on Buffy is like I fell in love with Buffy, and then even when they called action, I'm like, oh, Sarah, would you like my seat, Sarah? Here, have a rose, Sarah, you know. Yeah, so then I like going on Angel and just giving old David a headache. Yeah. What's that?
It looked like he had a ball doing it too.
Oh my God, it was so fun. I mean, the whole thing, even when I was in love with Buffy, so fun. Yeah, but better when I gave her a headache. like I used to. This is like the stunt when you fight Sarah. All the stuntmen sell all of the hits like way far away, like proper respect for Sarah, like sell it like that far away. And I would come in, I'm like, I'm not fireable. I wanted her to feel the wind. And Sarah is also trained, right? So she would, like, one night she just kind of went, and she came in, and like every shot, she just nipped my nose. I'm like, we can sell real close if you want to, Jennings. Yeah, my pleasure. Oh my God, are you the last? No. Or maybe you're just leaving. Hey. What's that?
Lord knows you were my favorite character when I first started watching Buffy. But I was kind of curious. Earlier you said one of the main reasons you were casted onto Buffy is because you were natural with Julia, you said?
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious as to when you switched from Drusilla to Buffy in the show,
Yeah.
like relationship-wise, like how was that? Like,
Yeah. It was weird for me. Like, okay, so they built me up as the ultimate big bad so that I could, when Angel killed me, he would become the big bad. Because if you got to kill off a really powerful character to become the big bad. So they built me up sky high. And then it became about getting me back down that ladder so that you could actually deal with the character. Because you couldn't just have him to be the big bad the whole time. The whole thing was like, how do you stop him from trying to kill Buffy? Because if he can't succeed, obviously, and if he keeps trying and failing, it gets repetitive and he becomes a laughable character. Oh, I didn't get her again. And my idea was that Spike would fall in love with Buffy, but she, of course, would never have feelings for him, obviously. And he would try to be good and fail. He'd fail comedically, he could fail dangerously, he could fail in a lot of different ways, but I thought that was a good idea. But the idea at the time was a chip gets implanted in his head, which I thought was not as interesting, but okay. And so I had told Joss, because we'd just gone through Riley, and I just came up to Joss at the end of that season. I was like, Joss, just if you ever want to have my shirt off a lot on the show, just warn me. Poor Mark Balukas, like if you would have given him a few months, he could have given you what, you know, like, but just give me a little warning. It's like, oh, well, good, you have the summer. Next year, you're falling in love with Buffy, so. And I went, oh, that's great. But obviously, she never reciprocates, right? And he's like, no, you guys are going to have a lot of sex. I'm like, I didn't get that at all. And the thing was, is that I kind of was thinking of Sarah as my kid sister, like who sometimes drives me crazy, but I love her. And that's the relationship that we had. And so thinking about her as a romantic thing, I was like, you know, like that's bad, you know. And so it was a real struggle for me to change that the next year. And I remember we were filming the burger scene where she's got that chicken hat on, and I'm looking at her doing her scenes, and I'm waiting because they called me a little early, so she's at the drive-through window. She's checking out the customers, you know, like here's your burger and stuff. And I'm thinking, wow, Buffy saved the world, sacrificed her life, went to heaven, got pulled back here, which now seems like hell. She wakes up and is suddenly a mother figure to a younger sister she doesn't even recognize. And now she's having to work in a burger joint to feed her, and she's not complaining. And she doesn't feel sorry for herself. She's trying to make the best of it. And that was inspiring. And I fell in love with Buffy at that moment. And I'm just sitting there going like this. And Sarah turns around and goes, what? It's the hat, isn't it? James, you too? Everyone's been making fun of me the whole day. I thought you would understand. Damn it. And I couldn't tell her. I just fell in love with you, baby. It's okay. Oh yeah, that was what I was about. Right on.
Hello.
Hello.
What episode of Buffy that you were on did you find the most humorous?
Again, you know, all of the questions like what was your most, the whole thing was the most. The whole experience was out of this world.